Welcome to Canadian Justice. I'm Christine Van Gyn. Today we're discussing medical assistance in dying in Canada, often called MAID. The federal government recently announced that they'd be delaying the expansion of MAID for solely mental illness until 2027. The original plan by the federal government was to expand MAID for solely mental illness in March of this year, 2024. But they have paused that because they said it's necessary due to provincial and territorial health systems not being ready. The issue is an extremely fraught one, with some saying that there is a charter right to MAID, including for mental illness, and others saying that the expansion of MAID for mental illness should be stopped altogether. Others have warned that MAID for and mental illness has already been happening even without government approval of the expansion. Here today to discuss the current issues around MAID are two experts. Professor Trudo Lemmens of the University of Toronto Faculty of Law, and Dr. Sonu Gain, the Chief of Psychiatry at Sunnybrook Hospital and a professor at U of T Medical. Thank you both for joining me today. Let's start with this recent announcement of the pause on the expansion for MAID for mental illness. Professor Lemmens, this expansion was supposed to take place. It was already delayed once. What happened? Why was there this delay and then the subsequent delay?
Yeah, so people have to realize that this suspension happened because in 2021, we had a change to the MAID law that made available outside of the already broad end-of-life context, which was originally the safeguard in the first MAID law. So in 2021, the government, following the Truchon decision in Quebec, decided that they would not appeal the decision, introduced a law to expand MAID outside of the end-of-life context. And under pressure from the Senate, an amendment was added to the bill saying that MAID should also be made available for persons with mental illness, which were originally excluded from the bill for reasons that we will discuss further in this program. And so the compromise was that there was a sunset provision which would give the government 2 years to prepare the system for offering MAID for mental illness, but it was controversial in the first place. And so after 2 years, under pressure from the broader mental health community, also likely ministers of health of the provinces, the government already postponed this introduction of mental illness by 1 year. And we were now coming at this deadline, and it's clear that there was still division and clear concern within the mental health community and also within the community of persons with disabilities, mental health disabilities, that this would create a serious risk to persons with mental illness. And so fast hearings were held in November, and parliamentary committee agreed that actually the system was not ready and made a recommendation to suspend it again. And this is now, so a new bill has been introduced because if nothing happens, the law already provides that it would normally start in March.
Dr. Gain, I think you've expressed some concerns about the expansion of medical assistance in dying for people suffering solely with a mental illness. I mean, you are a psychiatrist. What is your concern with the expansion to just people with mental illness?
And so I should point out that my concern is, as you're saying, about the expansion. I'm not a conscientious objector. I actually chaired my former hospital's MAID team. But when it comes to mental illness, or in general for MAID, what I strongly believe most Canadians would agree with is that when we're providing death, especially to people who are not otherwise dying, we need to be doing it for honest reasons. And under our current system, that would not be possible if it was expanded to sole mental illness for three unresolved issues. One is we are saying that MAID is for a medical condition that will not get better, one that we call irremediable. We need to then be able to predict that. And with mental illnesses, all of the evidence shows us that we are wrong more than half the time when we try to make those predictions. The second issue is that we need to be able to filter out suicidality, which, unique to mental illnesses, can be a symptom of the very illness itself. We need to be able to filter out that suicidality from other motivations
Right.
for
Yeah.
MAID requests. And again, the evidence shows we can't, and that
Doc-
risks marginalized people.
Dr. Gain, we've got to go to break, but when we come back, I want to talk about that third factor.